Hey there, happy Friday. Good afternoon, good morning. Allison DeFord, my goodness gracious, what are you doing here today?
I just stumbled in this room and decided to hang out.
Yeah.
So
Is it like the time during COVID about 4 years ago when I said, "Hey," I call you up and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You're like, "Yeah, not much." I'm like, "Hey, join Damon and myself on we're just having a video call." Sure. And we were live. Like how remember that night?
yeah, scared the shit out of me. I thought, are you joking? Oh no, we're live.
So
Hi
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. But this, I gave you a little fair warning
I
this
had a
time.
little
So,
warning.
little fair warning. So, hey, I want to give a huge man, just a wonderful welcome. Lots of love to my dear friend Allison DeFord, filling in for Damon today. So, Allison, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Just what an honor, privilege to share the stage for. Man, this is not an all-star, Allison. This is not an all-star. This is a Hall of Famer that we have in the house today. Man, we got Wilton Rogers the third. So, Wilton, happy Friday, dude. How are you, man?
Happy Friday. I'm doing well, Curt. Thank you so much. I appreciate that's a Hall of Fame. I love that, man. I appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you, this is an honor. I'm, good buddies with Rob Howes, and I think you
Yep.
guys, you know Rob Howes, right? You know that guy? Do you know Rob at all?
I know him a little bit, maybe for about 5 years, 6 years now,
Yeah,
maybe even longer now. But yeah, he's been
he,
around. He's still holding on to. He's still hanging around. I don't know why, but he's still hanging around, bugging me every day. Yeah.
He's something. Well, he and I have a special bond, man. I could go on and on about Rob. So anyway, we'll dive in. So Wilton, you're the automation guy. We're going to dive in on how to make everybody's lives just a little bit easier, maybe even a lot of bit easier. We're going to show some examples. We're going to dive into that today. Hey, we've got a little chat here, a little comment. So from AC, hello everyone. Enjoy the weekend. So guys, everybody out there, drop us a note. Let us know where you're coming from. You absolutely want to connect with Wilton on LinkedIn. You want to connect my dear friend Allison on LinkedIn. While you're at it, I'd love to connect with you too. So, Wilton, here's our first question of the day. My friend, are you sitting down? Are you ready for this one? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Allison, here we go. Here's the first question of the day. Wilton, when you were a little guy growing up, I know you're a big guy now. When you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to, just admire the heck out of? Who was your hero when you're a little guy growing up?
I think still is my father.
Your father. All right. Now, I'm not going to
Yeah.
make the same mistake twice. All right, Allison, I had Eddie Saunders Jr. on the show one time, and I said, Eddie Saunders Jr., who's your hero? He goes, your dad. You know what my question was? Hey, Eddie Saunders Jr., what's your dad's name? Like Mr. Einstein that I am, right? So, Wilton, I'm not going to make that same mistake, being that you are Wilton Rogers. Did you get that one, Allison? Did you get that?
Yeah, it took me
Eddie
a
Saunders.
second. I got it.
Eddie Saunders Jr. What's your dad's name? So, Wilton, I am definitely not going to make that mistake twice. I'm assuming since you are third, I'm not a mathematician, but I think we're talking about Wilton Rogers number 2. Is that correct?
That is correct. You got it. You got it.
Well, hey, man, ding, ding, ding. I passed the math test, Allison. So, all right. Why was Wilton Rogers number 2 your hero? I want to hear all the awesomeness about your dad.
Well, growing up, we really weren't a TV family. We lived on a farm, so we really didn't have a whole lot of TV. In fact, back then in the 70s, you probably only had 1.5 channels. They both came in snowy, right? Remember that? You had to turn the antenna to sort of move around on a good day and try to get a channel just to watch the Smurfs or something. But the reason why is because he came from poverty. He came from a place where, wasn't very high crime, low income. I mean, his shoes were passed down by his older brothers, and he was, so he came from really nothing, and he got his master's, got his doctorate degree, became a HR director for a university. So education and hard work was always something that he drilled into me. And then living on the farm, I sort of took that to a different level on the not only in studying, but also with just working around the farm, and just seeing what he's come through, and knowing that his, being around his siblings and seeing how much they rely on him, even though he wasn't the oldest. Like, he stepped out of that bubble and became, now he's, everybody in his whole family is like, looks up to him. But he really worked hard to where he did, and he never had an excuse. He never made an excuse. He never complained about anything growing up. And my mom's a little tiny Spanish lady. And in the 60s growing up there, you know, there was not a whole lot of mixed kids like myself. Now there is, but not back then. There wasn't back in the 60s and 70s. But never heard him complain about anything. Never made an excuse. And so it always being positive. So, you know, I never really had an idol. I liked, like, even growing up and watching sports and stuff, I liked players, but I never idolized them. I never got excited to when I met one guy I liked to follow. This tells you my age, Tony Dorsett, right? That's why I like the Cowboys, because Tony Dorsett was a running back in the day, right? When I met him, it was like, hi, nice to meet you. I wasn't like, oh, starstruck or anything. So I really haven't been high on that. So because I've been able to see him for the last 50 plus years, to sort of what he's done and try to follow in his footsteps. So that's the reason why, you know, he's the person I look up to for sure.
Wow. What, man, drop the mic, Allison.
I
So man, first you threw a Tony Dorsett comment in there. That brought me back, right? Gosh, well, you look like 10 years younger than me. We must be the similar age if you're throwing out.
Well, thank you.
I wish I looked as good as you do. My goodness gracious. Hey, we've got a couple of friends here dropping a note. We got Carlton saying, hi, guys. Enjoy your Friday. We've got Joy saying, hello, everyone. Feels good to be here. Joy, I totally agree. Wilton, man, shout out to your dad, getting a PhD, educating the farm, raising kids. Allison, what's your takeaway on this inspiring story here? What are your thoughts?
What comes to me is, like, in a day and age where I feel like so many people idolize celebrity and influencers, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's refreshing to hear and be reminded that ultimately, at the end of the day, doesn't it make so much sense to look up to and learn from real, authentic, hard work, struggle, right? Because you can't usually have real success, lasting success, without struggle. And I love, you know, that he didn't complain, because I think we live in a first world problems kind of, you know, world now. And if there's one thing I want to teach my girls, it's all the things you just said. You know, it's to be grateful for whatever is happening in the moment, and that the sky's the limit. Nothing holds you back but you. So that was my takeaway. And I'd love to meet your dad.
Yeah. How about a round of applause for Wilton Rogers #2, man? Yes. So Wilton, give your dad a big shout out. Lots of love from us. How about, you know what? And I'm going to go off script a little bit. Your legacy, man. I mean, you just really laid it out on your dad. If we were asking somebody like, hey, who's your hero? And they said, well, hey, it's Wilton Rogers. What type of legacy do you feel that you're leaving?
You know, I think that I hope I'm leaving somewhat of stay in my father's footsteps. Just really hard work, and you know, and not making excuses. I mean, along the way, being raised on a farm, you know, you had to sort of learn how to use your hands and get up in the morning and do chores, right? And I feel like nowadays there's not that hard work is not really seen as much. And I think when you touch people and people say, hey, you know what do you want to, what kind of legacy you want to leave? I want to leave a legacy like, hey, you know what, he worked hard for everything that he did. He put everything that he got into it. Whatever he was focused on, he went all in. And didn't stop until he got the results he wanted. So I think that you know, pushing forward through adversity and being able to come out you know, clean on the other side, or at least try to, in a very respectful and humble way, is the legacy I hope to leave.
Well, I absolutely love it. So let's slide into where we're at today. So, you know, fascinating background, dad, PhD, farm, so on and so forth. So now we're going to dive in. You're CEO, the Hall of Fame extraordinaire at Simply Automate. What inspired you to pursue this career in automation? Like, walk us through that, and then we're going to dive into what you guys are doing at Simply Automate.
Yeah, it's a funny story. I'm not a tech guy, right? So when it comes down to, automation and the AI in the back end, I can't do it. But I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, even from a young age. If you go back to my stories, I was selling eggs. Sort of had that love and that passion of servicing people. As I started growing businesses and creating businesses, I saw that technology was sort of taking over, and I saw that the more you use the right tools, the easier it was to be able to grow your company and build stability. Well, back in 2016, I was in the fitness industry for a while, and after that, I sort of figured out what the heck I wanted to do. And this company, a startup company, and they were an RPA, robotic process automation, and they were telling me how they can automate all these manual tasks, rule-based tasks, and you don't have to switch software. Long story short, they talked me in, they showed me what it was all about, and I was thinking in my head, wow, if I did this for my company before I let it go, before I sold it, I could have grown that to. I could have used the personnel. The retention would have been low. I would have used the personnel for the right skills that I could use them for. I was just like blown away. When I got involved, it was more in the enterprise world, which I didn't at that time. When you're thinking, I was thinking on small businesses, right? But when I got involved, it was all about the enterprise world. So at the time, I was just thinking, okay, well, I'm in it. Let me learn as much. Whatever goes up must come down. Whatever's an enterprise got to feed into the small businesses sooner or later. It was just too expensive back in 2015 and 16. But I was learning as much as I possibly can. So I would ask the developers, the analysts, the project managers, can you do this? Can you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that? And is there software that can do it? For smaller businesses, they kept telling me, no, we use this software. Can't do it. It costs too much. They're limited to what they can do. All these different hurdles that were in front of me. But I kept that back in my mind. It's like, okay, someone's going to come out with a software that's going to be able to do this. I just want to be on the front end of it. Lo and behold, they did. And back in 2018, I found a software that could do it. So one of the developers, I asked, hey, can you do this for a friend of mine that has an accounting firm back home? And I told the accounting firm, I was like, hey, and a property management company, both two guys that I knew, was like, let's do this. You don't have to pay me and work for a company, but you can. I'll have them do it. You pay them, the developers, and you take care of it. And they'll let them develop it for you. Long story short, we were able to automate a few of the processes. One of the accounting firms saved about 25 hours a week. The property management company at the time was saving 5, but they were able to about 5-6 hours a week. But they were able to scale because of it without hiring any personnel. So if they were to replace that personnel, they would have probably been 20, 30, 40 hours a week, but they didn't have to because they had that software. So I was like, whoa, this is mind blowing. So I went back to the company to tell them what I was doing. They want to stay in the enterprise world. They're like, hey, no, we're doing well here. We'll stay here. I was like, all right. So my contract was over in 2018. Decided to walk away. I told my wife, I want to move back home, downsize, this all in, had her 100% support. That's part of the reason why, we'll be able to do what I'm doing because of her. She really supported me. And it wasn't easy. But when I started figuring out that this could happen for small businesses, I was all in. And then I noticed that everybody was like me. They need the education. They need, I'm on the borderline of the baby boomers. So, having the mentality, like, what's brick, if it's not broke, don't fix, don't mess with my system. You don't know more than me. I know my business more than you type of, personality. I knew what I was involved with. And at that time, that's most of the companies that I was talking to. But I was able to, relate to them. So I was able to get some opportunities. And little by little, we just started growing the company. And the reason why I did that is because I know as a business owner, you want to be able to scale your company with the personnel that you have. You don't want them behind the computer typing all day and sending emails and collecting data and all this stuff. That's boring. You want to use their talents and their skills for things that are going to bring more value, not only to the company, but for them as well. They'll allow them to feel like they're bringing something to the company. And once we realized that the automation I was involved with can do that, I was all in. So sort of started taking off that way. And here we are 5, 6 years later and still at it.
Wow. All right. Great story, man. And, you know, you talk about having that support system, right? Dad was a big support. Your wife is support for your entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to go back to your entrepreneurial journey. Was for folks out there that, you know, say they're looking to start their own entrepreneurial journey. They're working for a corporation. Maybe they were downsized. They're an accidental entrepreneur, whatever. How were you, when you launched into your entrepreneurial journey yourself? Scary, exciting? What was going through your mind? What feelings did you have?
Both. I think they were both right. Scary and exciting. But I always saw what could be, right? I knew that if I did this, what it would do for them. Mm-hmm. So I got to figure out how to do this in order to make sure that they look at me like, oh, you made a difference in my life, in my company's life, in my family's life. If I know I can touch that part of somebody, then I did my job. So I got to figure out, okay, I know what we're doing can do it. What do I need to do to get there? Mm-hmm. Right. So that's sort of the attitude I had in any business that I was doing. But you started off, you know, I would say I always learned. I call it it was a side hustle sort of, because I always learned from. I went to work for somebody first. Whether it was I had a mortgage company, I had a cell company, I had a fitness company, and automation company, right? But I always work for somebody first, so I can at least have, you know, feed the family, take care of things, right? But I was always learning. But I always knew there was going to be a cap. You know, I was gonna hit it somewhere where I couldn't grow, or I couldn't be part of the inner circle, right? So I made sure that I kept my mind like, okay, I'm gonna build this company up, do what I can to build it up, but I'm gonna learn as much as I can, and I'm gonna little by little take those check marks and start putting them aside. So when I walk away, I have this in place. Mm-hmm. I've already built my name in the industry. I sort of, you know, put my name out there and people know who I am. So I sort of did that. That was the way. So it didn't make it was scary because you're going on your own, but I didn't walk into something that I didn't know, right? I didn't walk into something like this. Just okay, I want to open up a coffee shop. I'm like, I don't know what to open up a coffee shop. I don't know what to do. You know, I worked for that. I figured out what to do. I followed their system, seeing the things that they were doing right, the things that they were doing wrong, the things that I can change, that I can improve on my own. I worked on all those little things before I jumped ship. So yes, it was scary, but it was exciting because I always knew the outcome. Because I saw the outcome working for somebody else, right? And I could see if I could do that for myself and build a team to help us do that, it's gonna change what we're doing. So yeah, that's sort of it's. So to answer your question, it was both.
Both. A little scary, a little exciting, all the above, right, Allison? Hey, Rob is in the house here today. So Rob drops a comment. Rob, sending you lots of love, dude, man. Hopefully your ears were ringing. We were chatting about you earlier. What a journey. So absolutely love it. Allison, you're dealing with entrepreneurs all day, every day, 30-year entrepreneur. Are you 30 years now? How many years have you been? Yeah. 30? You're 30, right? So your thoughts hearing Wilton's story, what's your takeaway?
Well, I think what's so exciting and what makes him successful is the thing that Curt and I and Damon are always talking about and preaching and shouting from the rooftops for whoever will listen, is focusing on the customer. So I loved it. You talk a lot about service. And if anybody that's joining us today or for the replay, if you have not checked out Wilton's LinkedIn profile, look at his about. It's so interesting and heartfelt. It's one of the most interesting abouts I've ever read on LinkedIn, by the way.
Thank you.
And my point in sharing that is that gave me more insight into if I was considering hiring you, if I was considering working for you, if I was considering, well, what is his company all about? He's the leader. It was so much more interesting and enlightening than all of the, I think a lot of times we get stuck with like fluff, marketing speak or sales speak or, kind of the typical, and yours is atypical. So first of all, I love that.
Thank you.
And I think it ties directly in with what you just said, is, well, how could I make their life better? So Curt and I talk about this endlessly, and we encourage our clients to do the same thing. It's like, my question to clients is always, well, how do you want your customers to feel? And I get crickets, because they haven't thought about that in a long time, or maybe ever. Yeah. So I feel like when you put customer first and then you reverse engineer and go, okay, now how can I get there? Mm-hmm. I'm like, bravo, man. That's, I think that's how you get from point A to point B even faster, and in a more successful and sustainable way. So it's just, it's authentic. I'll give you a hug.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you so much. You know, and just going off that, I think if you go into entrepreneurship and you try to, it's for the money, you're not going to do well. You know, when you go in for the passion, for the love of it, things will start dropping in your way. They'll start coming, right? And it may be sooner, maybe later, but as long as you love what you do, it's going to happen. It will happen. Yeah.
Right. I absolutely love that. So let's dive in. So curious minds are dying to know, Wilton. So you've kind of teed it up. So five years ago, you started your company, and you're starting to give us a little flavor of what you do. Let's dive in. Simply automate. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. How do you, your team, make the world a better place? Let's dive into some of the activity that you guys provide here.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give a shout out to Rob, because Rob was he started, when I first opened the company, he was the one I called right away. Me and him have been partners, and he had been doing some marketing stuff. And I was like, man, I love this personality. And I said, he needs to be the guy to help me brand this thing. And man, he's been a blessing ever since. So I had to give some love out to him. You know, just sort of give you an idea of our company. When we first started off, we were an automation company, just automation. It's called RPA, Robotic Process Automation. And the reason why is because a lot of businesses, we go into businesses and we look at what you're doing manually, what are repetitive type tasks, what are rule-based type tasks, the things that are mundane that you do every single day. If you can walk into your office and you say, I got to do that again today, I got to do that again tomorrow, I got to do it 2 or 3 times a week, all these things could probably be automated through RPA, right? So we focus on that. That's what we call low-hanging fruit, because you want to get those off your plate so you can sort of focus on other things, right? So if we can get, like, I'll give you an example, like inventory processing was a huge thing about we continue to do, right? Inventory or invoice processing and things like that, we do a lot of, right? Because there's a lot of grab this data, put it here, send it here, save it here, whatever the case may be, right? All these different tasks have to happen within a process to be completed. But it's all manual and it's all digital. It's all rule-based. You follow certain rules to get it done. So we got involved, like no one's doing this for small businesses. And that's where people were using so many hats, wearing so many hats to have to do those. So what we did is like, okay, well, you know what? Let's eliminate that. Let's automate it. So we start automating it. And that's sort of how our company started. And as we start growing, we noticed like, okay, well, now we're helping me automate stuff. Here's AI, here's machine learning. We got to use all this. So now we got into intelligent automation space as well, right? So RPA is more like, hey, what are you doing? Let's get those off your plate so we can focus on intelligent automation. Now we're using AI and automation combined, right? So that's our focus now. So the way we got involved was basically seeing that no one was actually using RPA for smaller businesses. It's like, these are the ones that need it the most because they're the ones that wear a lot of hats. If we went to an enterprise company, you know, one person did this one thing 100 times a day, right? And they had a staff, they grew so big and they were a billion-dollar company, they had 20 people doing the same thing because they had to. Going to automate that was easy. It was like, boom, we automated it, and now they can do other things, right? Actually, enterprise were trying to cut their overhead so they can, you know, the investors can get a bigger piece of that pie. So but in the smaller businesses, they didn't want to. They wanted to use their people to do other things, right? So now that we start doing the RPA space, get into intelligent automation, that's when the creativity from the employees start coming. Like, oh, if we have this software, what if we use this AI? What if we start doing this? How can we put that all together and make it work? So now the creativity started coming. I was like, wait a minute. We have the team to be able to do that. Why don't we do this as well? You know? Mm-hmm. So now we're in the RPA space. We're all in intelligent automation because everybody's talking about AI, but no one really knows how to use it. They're like, oh yeah, we do AI. What do you do? You know, we do ChatGPT. Okay, that's like 2% of what AI is, right? So, but when you get involved with what they're looking to do and you lead them in the right direction, their vision and their creativity will take you on their path for them. And it's so quick because everything's sort of already laid out for you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Okay, do any of these companies ever feel fearful that how can we trust that the automated process is going to do it right versus the person, like, and this may be a dumb question, but like, is there any fear in switching over?
All the time.
All the time.
That's a great question. Most of the time you see that fear. Two things. People are going to fear to lose their job, first of all. Second fear is this really going to work? So what we do two things. Let's start with the latter. We test it first. We let them see it before so they're still doing it. We're just building on the side. And then we test it, say, here, see it work. You're still doing it. If it doesn't work, you're still doing it. And all of a sudden start doing like, oh, I don't have to do it anymore. And then you press it again. Okay, I don't have to do it anymore. And all of a sudden a week later, like, oh, I'm gone. I don't have to do this anymore, right? Second part of that is in the same breath is they're fearful of losing their job, but now like, I don't have to do this anymore. I can do more of this.
Right.
I don't do this. I can focus on this. So that's when it comes to small business. That's what we love about small businesses, because all the owners, the founders, the directors, the leaders of that company are always looking to grow, and they're usually looking internally first, right? Keep that retention, right? So they're like, oh, you know, Allison does great over here, but now instead of her having to do this, now she can run this whole department over here and sort of bring her vision of what she wants to do to help us build this part up and focus all the time and attention over here. So there was fear at the beginning, but now people are starting to see that technology is sort of already stepping in. The fear is sort of fading away. But the other part is, does it work? That's the fear factor. It's like, so we test it out, and we put in what's called hyper automation. So our hypercare. So we put in hypercare. So we test it, and then once it's ready to run and we know it's working, then we just turn the bot on, turn the employee off on that one, and they can do other things.
That would give me so much peace of mind. And I love that you call it care.
Yeah, hypercare. Yeah.
Hypercare. And what's hysterical, the person, you know, and, you know, we've all been there. I know, or at least I'll speak for myself. You're like, hey, you know, this is my baby. This is my task. Nobody knows how to do it like I do it, you know? And so you take such pride in it. And then all of a sudden somebody like Wilton comes along and like, you know, I feel totally threatened. You know, I don't want to like anybody, you know, lose my job or think like I'm not working. But then all of a sudden you pull that task off my plate and then ask that person, hey, you know what? Do you want to take that task back? Gosh, no, man, I couldn't. You know,
yeah.
And now it's like, now you're relieved and you're like, I can't. And, you know, I had an e-commerce business 100 years ago. I used to constantly, like, we used to always challenge ourselves. Like, what are we doing today that we're going to make fun of 6 months from now? You know, like, how could we, you know, I was in my 30s. And so I was a little more agile, I guess, Allison. But, you know, I love what you're bringing to the table, Wilton, is like, you know, hey, what are we doing today that we're going to make fun of 6 months from now? Like, man, how did we get by without Wilton and the team, you know? So, and I'm sure you guys hear that all the time, Wilton.
We do. You know, it's, there's a lot of people that just already forgot about that those tasks are automated. They're like, oh yeah, we've been doing that for years already. We totally forgot about it, you know?
Right.
You know, so yeah, it happens all the time. But once people start seeing what it can also do, it's incredible to see the vision and creativity that happens within the organization, because now not only physically are they away from it, but emotionally and mentally, that's erased off their mind completely. They don't have to focus on that at all. Mm-hmm. So it's not even a seed in their head to worry about anymore. Right. So that's totally gone. So now they can replace that with something better.
Right. Oh, that's phenomenal. How about, do you have any, I don't want to put you on the spot, do you have any wonderful success stories that come to mind immediately that you can share where like just somebody rocked it out and just saved a bunch of money and time? Anybody come to mind immediately?
Well, we have, there's a couple come to mind, but there's one that we have, it's a retail, and they had multiple, it's actually a grocery store, a small grocery store. They had 5 or 6 locations, and they had 3.5 employees doing the invoicing and billing.
3.5.
3.5, and they were wondering, like, you know, they were seeing delays, they were seeing a lot of errors, and they sort of wanted to. The employees have been there with them for a while, but they wanted to move them into other areas of the business, and that's why they had, some of them were doing it part-time, some were doing it full-time, but they had 3.5 employees doing it. Long story short, this was 4 years ago. We automated it all. 3 of those employees no longer did it. That the part-time employee did the ones that would get kicked back to them, because it's always a human in the loop, some things that they have to take care of still, regardless, and it still happens. But we find out, okay, where are these kickbacks happening? Why are they happening? Little by little, we start improving it. To now, it's almost like she could do it from her phone. Like, okay, I gotta fix that. Okay, it's done, right? So that's what happened. So that was a great one, because it was 3.5 employees. I mean, full time, just doing it for, you know, 3 doing it full time, part time. It's a lot of hours.
That's a lot.
And their ROI was just ridiculous. I can't. It's in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's right. They haven't even been doing it over, you know, the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. It's sort of forgot off their plate now, right? So they don't even hire anybody to do any of that anymore, because I know they bring in more vendors. All they got to do is add that into the system, and the bot will take care of it. So that's one of them. And then we have a smaller company that we did one for. It was an accounting firm, and they probably had like 4 or 5 employees. And we started doing their tax return and their onboarding. And I think that went from having one person doing it full time to them not doing it at all, pretty much, you know, and all the information they had to gather for the employees or from their clients came in. The bot knew where to put in the system, knew how to put it together, send it for approval, write it off. If not, they can manually put in what they need to put in. Boom, and then off and running. Onboarding was, you know, the sales trying to sell it. Once you're onboarding, you had to put all this information and sort of onboard them. All they did is onboard them, send the information, the bot will pick it up, take care of it, and they're done.
Wow.
So
absolutely, man, that is awesome. Hey, we've got another fun comment here from Sean. Sean, happy Friday. Aloha, Curt, Allison, and Wilton. Automation is super important for any business. Enjoying this talk a lot. Well, happy Friday to you, Sean. Thank you for joining us. Again, drop a note in the chat box. We're here with our dear friend, Wilton Rogers III. We're talking Simply Automate. So now I have a dear friend who, like, he's kind of like my automation coach. He's more on the manufacturing side, automation. And he always says 3 things, Allison, our friend Dave Chrysler. He says you need to either eliminate, automate, or delegate. And so I was just talking about that with somebody this morning. And so I couldn't love what you guys are doing more. Now, Will, I don't know if you even know that I'm going to do this. So I love these case studies, these success stories. You're just making the world a better place, saving folks all sorts of crazy money and processes. I actually have somebody that I'm going to pull on stage that's going to share their experience of working with you. Do you mind if I don't want to embarrass you? Do you mind if I do? Do you mind if
I would love to.
All right, let's see what this gentleman has to say. You ready? Let's see how this
sales and operations planning for. Hello, my name is Justin Metzger. I'm the Director of Sales and Operations Planning for Can-Am Steel Corporation. We have 7 plants across the United States, and we have been working with Wilton and the Simply Automate team for about 3 years now. Our main issue at the start of our partnership was we were having trouble getting data from our legacy systems into our Power BI planning environment. Since partnering with Wilton's team, we've been able to save about 3 hours of report running per day and have up-to-date data to help run our sales and operations planning process every single month. And since working with the team, we've also been able to achieve a 95% accuracy on our forecasting process because we're spending less time pulling data and more time analyzing it and talking to our teams. So thank you to Wilton and the Simply Automate team for everything you've done for us, and looking forward to our continued success together and working more in the future. Thanks.
Wow. How about
Justin?
95%. So let's, hey, and Rob drops a comment here. Complete game changer, fire. I agree, my friend Rob, 100%. Well, tell us a little story here. So this is right in mine and Allison space, manufacturer. Sounds like 7 plants. What's our story here?
Yeah, well, Canon came to us. Like Justin was saying, they wanted to pull some information out of the legacy system. It was taking them quite a while at each location, and we found out as each location was doing a little bit different. Had the same logic, but they were sort of doing it different. And so we figured out which is the best route to take to sort of do it. And so no one can be involved, because if you get everybody involved, but like, well, I'm doing it this way, I'm doing it this way. It's like, no, let's just build it, and then just implement it at all the locations. And that's what we did. And once we did that, it was just like, everyone's like, thank you. It was a game changer. Right now, I think they have 5 or 6 processes running with us right now. I think we're working on 1 or 2 of them as we speak, because manufacturing, what we found out, and that's why we like manufacturing, because there's a lot of different logic that's built into manufacturing, a lot. And there's a lot of, and it's all rule based. I mean, down to, gathering little nuts and bolts and trying to figure out how to order these things. And we created areas where, there was no delay. We could tell when things were coming in, how much they were getting sold, where the delay, if they need to order it, we place this order, here are the areas you need to place it, here where you can get it faster, all these different, and they had all these rules, and I was like, just show us the rules. And it just and it worked. And what we found out with manufacturing is that they already have everything working. They just gotta, sit down and figure out how we can get most of this automated. It's already done. So manufacturing has been fun for us. Accounting has been fun for us, because everything is already done for you. It's already rule based, and they use so many applications. They follow so many rules and different things, and all we have to do is figure out what they are. Just show us what they are, walk us through. Not only will we can automate it, but we can show you ways that we can improve it and eliminate some. In some cases, eliminate things, because you don't have to have this. We can go straight from here to here, so they have to go here, 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 here. We can just go from here to here because it's all automated now. So, Canon has been a great client of ours. We love the manufacturing industry. We really, really do. I think and we've seen a lot of growth, and a lot of them are starting to come on board. Like, okay, we need to learn more. They know they need it, and what they're doing is they're looking outside of their walls now to figure out how can I improve it more. Even though they have an IT team, because we work with Canon Steel's IT team all the time, and their thing is to keep that structure internally, right? So we have a good relationship with their team. But as far as bridging everything and putting everything together, they need that knowledge and experience from people that are doing it on a regular basis, where IT team doesn't have that. IT team knows how to, once it's implemented, they know how to take care of it and work it. But they don't know the industry like we do. So they'll bring us in to talk to them, to build it for them, hand it out to them, and when something happens, the IT team knows exactly who to talk to, when they're going to get it, and how fast it's going to get done. So we love manufacturing, and Canon Steel's one of our great clients.
Well, congratulations. Super impressive, man. Pat yourself on the back. What a win that is. Allison, I know what's going through your mind as far as your manufacturing world and automation.
A lot. First of all, I'm going to invite you on my podcast, so we'll talk about that separately.
Yes.
And if you watching this are not already following Wilton's podcast, Automation Nation, you need to go subscribe, because it's amazing. And I just want to thank you for stepping outside of the box, and really for doing courageous, hard things, because you are making people's lives better, their businesses more successful. And I think, I have my heart is filled with love for manufacturers, and to see somebody that can come in and help them streamline things, right? So that they can create more, which is what they're so good at. It fills me with joy and excitement for the future. So I just want to say Thank you for everything.
Well,
and keep
awesome.
doing
Thank you. Thanks for those amazing words. I really appreciate it. It's so much fun. We really, really enjoy what we do. We know that once people are on board and they understand, they see what we do, that we know it's going to make a difference. We can have one conversation with a company, and within 30 minutes to an hour, we know what we're capable of doing, or how we can help them improve what they're looking to do.
You know, and I love what you're saying, Allison, because I'm thinking of like so many small manufacturers we work with, 30, 40, 50 employees, and just, everybody's grinding, like, they're like you said it first right off the bat. Well, and they're throwing on different hats, and just, so to stop, take a time out and ask myself, like, hey, gee, how I've been doing this for the past 5 years. Is there a more efficient way? Hey, let me go out and shop for a new software, stop what I'm doing, take a chance and a risk that this thing might blow up on my face. And now I'm responsible, So it's wonderful that you guys come in as that mentor, that Sherpa, that trusted guide, and like, hey, customer, and Allison, what's the word, right? Care. You're going to come in, you're going to hold my hand. And like, and again, like these guys are coming in, like, I'm here, my boss is down the hall. Like, my job's on the line, or my reputation's on the line. So you kind of come in and say, hey, listen, I've got your back. We're going to help you save time, hours, and and I'm not taking your job. Let's get you doing some more challenging things since you've been doing this for so long. So I couldn't love more what you're doing. Rob says, eliminate, automate, delegate. Thank you, Rob, for the comments. Let's start winding down, because Wilton, we need, Allison, we can't eat up all this time. He needs a lot of manufacturers to get out there and help save time, money, energy, all these things. Wilton, as we wind down, I have last two questions for you. Number one, as an entrepreneur, I love asking this question: best business advice that you've ever received, or that you would love to pass along to your younger self, a younger entrepreneur. What's the best business advice you feel that you've ever received?
The best business advice I've received is passion and patience. P&P, right? You have to have the passion to do it. You have to have the patience to make sure that you're doing it the right way, right? If you don't have that patience, you're going to fall into a hole that's going to either take you down, or it's going to give you a bad name. So be patient. Don't take everything, that you can just grab onto. So I think passion and patience are something that I stick by, because being an entrepreneur, you have to be very patient. You have to have the passion for sure, but there's no get quick scheme out there. Those things, if they may last for a day or a month or even a year, but after that, you're gonna take a big fall. So be very patient and build it right.
Well, drop the mic on that one. Absolutely great advice. Allison, as we wind down, your takeaways, thoughts from our conversation today that you want to share.
I have many, but I will distill it since we're wrapping up. I think I can speak from my own personal experience of being fearful and getting stuck in a rut. And I talk about this a lot. This is the way we've always done it. Like, that's death to your company. I've been that person. So when I talk about that, I'm talking from experience with my clients. I do understand that fear, and of adopting something new, and of letting go, letting this bot do it right instead. But you have reinforced my newfound belief that I love the hyper care. So showing me, if I'm your smaller or mid-sized business, I'm going to do this alongside your person, and we're going to test it, and we're going to make sure we work out any bugs, and we're going to show you all you have to do is let go. Right? Yeah. And allow your business to grow faster if you just let go a little and try something new. So I love that. I'm excited to continue following you, to learn more, to see where you take things, and really to explore. I think you're a prolific guy, but also pragmatic. So I love those two P's, where it's future thinking, but you've got your head on straight. And I appreciate that in a consultant and a business owner. So gosh, keep guiding people that way.
Found his calling. And Wilton, how about this comment here from Sean? Sean, thank you. P and P, love it, Wilton. It's hard to have both sometimes, at least for me at least. Heavy on passion, light on patience, still working on it. Sean, you're doing awesome. Thank you.
Sean, hey, trust me, it's not easy having patience. Trust me, I've been in the game for a long time. I feel the pain, Sean. I've been light there too. But if you keep grinding, you know, it'll come for sure.
It'll come for sure. So, Wilton, I want to thank you for joining us today. Just what a joy, what a privilege. Keep making the world a better place. You, your team, Rob, your family, Wilton Rogers II, man. Big shout out to him. And so we just want to thank you. Best way to connect with you, obviously here on LinkedIn, social, Simply Automate, anywhere else that we can find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn, we're on it every day. You see us posting every day. Rob is in the building. If someone's posting and doing something under where if I'm not available, he'll ping me and let me know, hey, you got to answer them back. You got to get with them. So, you know, have a great team. You know, Rob's amazing. So LinkedIn is probably the best way. We're there. We live there. You know, and we do a lot of education, a lot of support, knowledge-based things on there. So I would say reach out to us there.
Awesome. And catch their podcast, of course. So, hey, Allison, how about this? You know, we always like to say, you know, as we wind down, you know, we close out the week, go out and just be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Wilton. And if you've been hanging out with us for the past however long we've gone, it's a great opportunity to stand up and stretch and give a big standing ovation for Wilton Rogers III for just absolutely hitting the ball out of the park today. So, Wilton, thank you, dude. God bless you. Keep making the world a better place. We appreciate you. So, guys, thank you in the chat box. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you. Allison DeFord, my friend, just sending you a boatload of love. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for filling in for Damon. And just, you know what? Maybe Damon will call in sick next week too. So anyway, that's another subject for another time. So don't tell anybody I said that. So, all right, guys, have an amazing, blessed, crazy, wonderful weekend. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.